The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the Man from Leng. Thank you very much for joining me today. On this episode, we are reviewing the Rogue cards in A Light in the Fog, the fourth Mythos pack in the Innsmouth Conspiracy Cycle. There are spoilers throughout if you care about that sort of thing. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support. The Arkham Horror LCG community is amazing, and these people have gone above and beyond to bring you content like these player card reviews. If you'd like to support the channel's goals and see your name on this list, head over to patreon.com, sign up for a tier of your choice, and claim your rewards. That would be awesome. Without further ado, let's get started. The first rogue card in the pack is Lucky Penny. It's a 2-cost asset that costs 2 experience points, but of course it has the exceptional keyword, so it will set you back 4. It has willpower and agility skill icons, the item, charm, and curse trait. It has the forced effect. When you reveal a bless or curse token during a skill test you are performing, flip a coin. On a heads, treat that token as a bless token. On a tails, treat that token as a curse token. If you treat a blessed token as a curse token as a result of this effect, draw 1 card, and it will take up an accessory slot. Man, this is a blast from the past in terms of design space. Flipping coins, I thought we were done with that way back in the 1990s, but
me too.
Here it rears its head. I've gone back and forth on this one a little bit, just because I think if you can throw enough bless and curse tokens in the bag, you can probably leverage this for some pretty you're going to get some card draws. If you throw in one of the covenants, you can use it with Blasphemous Covenant, so you're turning that, you turn a blessed token into a curse token, which will be a +1 with the Blasphemous Covenant, and you're getting a card draw, which seems pretty good. I think Trish is really the only one who can do that right now. If I'm not mistaken, there might be somebody else, but it seems like Trish is the one who could try that. But you've also got the False Covenant, which cancels the token. So even if you're playing a straight up rogue who just wants to, you draw a curse token, you cancel it with False Covenant and draw a card. That's not bad.
You have to put blessed tokens and then treat them as curse tokens.
Yeah, that's I misspoke there. You have to draw the bless first, and so I'm not too sure off the top of my head which investigator can pile enough bless and or curse tokens into the bag to do that. Maybe Dexter might be the one to do that.
Choice. Tempt Fate certainly helps in that regard for any investigator, because it's 6 tokens total per copy. I've tried curse builds with Trish and have had medial success. The issue with the rogue curse build right now is there isn't enough cards that add curse tokens, and there isn't enough payoff. The payoff is good, but there just isn't enough to build a solid deck around right now.
Yeah, and I've played around a little bit with Tempt Fate, and I think one of the problems with these, one of the problems I've identified anyway with this sort of mixed, I guess they call it the blurse, some people call it the blurse deck or whatever, where you've got a lot of curse and bless tokens in the bag, is that Tempt Fate is only good once you draw it, which I've had games where I just haven't seen it. And so cards that work on this whole, like, you're going to need bless and curse tokens, just don't do anything if you don't get the Tempt Fate or the cards that add the tokens in time. And so I have a really tough time with that, just because I'm wanting all of the cards in my deck to be like, I draw this card, okay, it's good, I can use it, or I can commit it. And I find that some of these cards with the bless and curse mechanic, I just don't get the tokens, and so then it's like, well, this doesn't really do anything, and just sort of stalls out.
And this card is exceptional too, so you can only have 1 copy in your deck. So you may not even see it until either really late in the game where it's essentially useless, or you never see it at all.
Yeah.
I've never been one to experiment much with the exceptional cards for that exact reason, is that I find them to be far too inconsistent. And I think Lucky Penny is just another one of those cards that I feel is overall way too inconsistent.
I don't know how to rate this one because I know there are players out there who love these sorts of cards that encourage. I mean, I think this is really a card you've got to build around, and there's probably a deck out there that could put it to good use. But the whole exceptional, and then you throw random results on top of that, it's just not a card that I will probably ever play. So I don't know. I'm stuck between Zero and Elder Thing. Personally, it's probably an Elder Thing for me because I just don't think I would ever have the patience to try to work out the deck that has this in it. But I can see there might be a deck there that could put it to good use if you've got I think you probably really need to play it in a like a. Maybe Trish could use this because she has access to the card draw to get those to pull those exceptional cards faster. While it seems like Dexter would be a good choice, I don't think he has access to enough draw to be able to reliably get this thing down quickly enough. But I haven't experimented much with Dexter either, so.
Yeah, and then the other thing I'm thinking about too is when I read this card, right? Like the whole thing that I want to do is I want to put bless tokens in the bag so that I can treat them as curse tokens so that I can draw cards, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the ultimate goal of this card. And if I'm doing that, why aren't I just putting bless tokens in the bag and playing Lucky Cigarette Case and doing the same thing essentially, right?
Yeah.
Right? If I draw a bless token, that's essentially drawing a card because I'm more than likely going to be passing by more than two. So for me, this card is almost auto fail territory because I just really don't like effects like this, but I'll give it an Elder Thing because I know there are people that like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna settle on Elder Thing, I think, just because I don't think it's totally like, to me an autofill would be it's like totally unplayable, which I don't think
Yeah.
is the case. But
For me, it's pretty close though.
yeah, for me, I don't gravitate towards these type of cards, and there'll be a deck out there that is able to leverage it for something. But the next rogue card in the pack is the Eye of Djinn. It is a 2-cost asset that costs 2 experience points. Again, it is exceptional, so it will cost you 4. It has 2 intellect skill icons, the item relic, blessed, and cursed traits. As a response, when you initiate a skill test during your turn, exhaust Eye of Djinn. Set your base skill value to 5 for this test. If a blessed token is revealed during this test, ready Eye of Djinn. If a cursed token is revealed during this test, you may take an additional action this turn. It takes up a hand slot. I have had a chance to play this card, but we ran into the exceptional problem, and I never saw it. So I think the ability to set your base skill value to 5 is very powerful, and the payoffs are also very powerful. Whether you draw a blessed token and you get to ready the eye so you can use it again, or draw a curse token to get an additional action is awesome. Yeah, it's exceptional. So you need to have ways of getting this out. Now, that said, I think this is one of the cards in the pack that has me most excited to try to build a deck with. So it's
agree. This
compared to like the Lucky Cigarette Case, or not Lucky Cigarette, but Lucky Penny, where I just look at it and go, ugh. This one I'm kind of like, hey, I want to try this in Ursula, or hey, I know that Vase, he's playing this in his Father Mateo build because Father Mateo can take it right off the bat. And so I think there's lots of interesting things that you can do with this card. It's just a matter of finding the right build for it.
And this card has so much more payoff than the previous card that we looked at, like getting extra actions or getting a skill value to 5 for a skill test, that's so good. And you don't need to, um, you don't need to jump through the hoops of drawing the tokens to get a benefit out of this card. You just get additional benefit if you happen to draw tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So these two cards have such a interesting dynamic between the two of them because they function off the tokens in such a different facet that it's interesting to see.
Yeah, you are getting, I mean, regardless of whether you're playing Bless or Curse tokens, you get the 5. You get to set your skill to 5 once per turn, which is pretty good. I mean, there are a lot of the cards that do that, like the one that comes to mind is Trial by Fire. I believe it sets your base skill value to 5 for the entire turn, but it's an event, so you're getting that one time or 2 times a game. More if you're playing, of course, the Survivor Recursion stuff, but you got to work for it. Whereas once you get this on the table, you've got a 5 every turn. Mm-hmm. So even with that, I mean, it's a pretty playable card. You stack the Bless token or Curse tokens on top of that, and then you throw in the Covenants where you could, whether you're using Blasphemous or the False Covenant. So it's like, okay, I drew a Curse token, big deal, I cancel it, and I'm getting an additional action this turn. Like, that's really good. Or, you know, if you draw a Bless token, you can ready it and you got it. It almost you're almost getting that Trial by Fire for that turn. So really, I think the only downside of this one is just the exceptional keyword that limits it to 1 per deck. So it's when I tried it, I mean, I was very high on it, but of course I never saw it and probably didn't have enough draw to actually have a good chance of getting it. So it's I think if you can work around that restriction, it's really good.
Card needs Ellie Horowitz for sure.
Yeah, Ellie would definitely like, that's I think Ursula with Ellie to pull this, and she's got a 5 for, like, I don't know.
Fighting.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's only during your turn, so it can't help you during Mythos phase or anything like that. So it's
the only thing I will knock against this card is that it's too bad that Calvin can't take it. But maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah. So
Calvin
how would you
love this card?
How would you rate this one?
I think it's pretty good. I think I'm gonna give it a 0. It seems like a really fun build-around card. It's got 2 matching skill icons. It's got a really good effect. Like you said, the only knock against it is that it's exceptional. So you may not ever see it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go as high as +1 on this one. I do really like I like this sort of design. I think it creates a lot of interesting, because of the traits, there are quite a few investigators who can take this card and play around with it. And I think if you can get it on the table, even if you're not playing Bless and Curse, it's pretty good. And then if you're playing with the tokens or in multiplayer, you don't necessarily have to be adding the tokens yourself. You can let other people take care of that for you, and you're still getting the benefit. And I think the nice thing about this one compared to some of the other cards in multiplayer is it doesn't necessarily detract from what the other player is doing. Like, so many of the cards are like, you do X with Curse tokens, either like removing them from the bag or getting rid of them in some way, which the Curse player may not want you to necessarily do. This one just is like, hey, you drew a Bless or a Curse token, that's fine. You know, you're not like submarining anybody else's strategy at the table. You're just building off of that. So I think that's really that's a nice way of nice design, I think. That's going to do it for the rogue cards in A Light in the Fog, Lucky Penny, and Eye of Djinn. I think Eye of Djinn is the card I'm most excited about in this pack, and Lucky Penny is probably the card I'm the least excited about. But that always seems to be the tale of rogues. They seem to really be like, love them or hate them. And I think these two cards, exemplify that probably better than cards in other packs.
Yeah, very true. Like we were saying, there's a very stark contrast between these two cards, but it's interesting, and people certainly really enjoy Lucky Penny, and I've heard a lot of discussion about it. So, if you want to prove me wrong, by all means, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I should try to build a Lucky Penny deck for that new segment I launched. That would be a good challenge. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoy what you hear, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you need to contact me, I can be reached at manfromlang@gmail.com. I am also on Twitter at manfromlang. Until the stars are right, keep your shotgun close and your elder sign closer. Take care out there, and happy investigating.